This is Master Your Mindset with Coach Mark.
Hey guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another Thursday Microcast. Guys, I appreciate all the feedback you've been giving me. I know we made a little bit of a direction change, but it is for good reason. And I hope you're really leaning into these Microcast episodes, especially the ones that push you a little bit, because literally that is really where that opportunity for growth is for you, okay? So what are we going to talk about today? Well, today, I really want to talk about teaching you how to learn how to stop feeling exhausted all the time without thinking that you have to do more, so that you can have the energy that you need to really show up with and make that impact. I talk a lot about this idea of impact, right? I talk a lot about it not just at work, not just in business, right? But also when it comes to making that impact at home. And the truth is that you can have it all. You really can have it all if you're open to finding those answers. And sometimes we kind of block ourselves off because we have these deep limiting beliefs, which is really why our Thursday episodes are here, because I want to attack some limiting beliefs for you guys, all right? And thinking that you have to do it all is one of those limiting beliefs that literally makes you feel like you have to keep doing it the way you're doing it and just do more of it, rather than think outside the box of how might I do it all without burning myself out. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. So most overwhelmed business leaders that I know, and people who are in their career, like law enforcement officer like me, think that they have to do more and more and more. They have to keep adding more and more and more to their plate. And so what they do is they think that if they pull from their sleep, from their health, from their family time, or other important areas, that they're going to potentially get their lucky break. They're going to actually make that impact that they truly want to make, right? But it's one-sided. It's just one specific thing. And what we think is that we have to put all of the other areas of our life on hold. That, you know what, we're just going through a season right now. And after we get through the season, we'll be on the other end. But the season never ends, guys. The season really never ends. And there's this belief that you have to do that. But I can tell you from my own personal experience, helping hundreds of people actually experience that you don't have to do that. That is 100% possible for you too, because we are just like everybody else. We are just like you. Now, what happens is we start learning early on that taking action gets us results. Taking action gets us results, all right? But ultimately what that leads to is I have to take more action if I want to get more results. And ultimately that means that when you have to take more of the same action to get more of the same results, you run out of time, and then you start pulling from different areas instead of getting more creative. That creates either one of two things. Number one, burnout. Or number two, it causes you to double down. How many of you guys have ever done that? You're like, wow, I'm just so physically exhausted, but I need to push through this, so I need to double down. And then you run yourself into the ground, you develop shingles like I did, or you develop some autoimmune disease like I did, and then you realize, wow, I probably shouldn't have done that, right? So overworking and outworking the problem is not the solution, all right? Now, there's many different hidden elements that I like to talk about, not only in the 626, but also when I'm having conversations with people, helping coaching people, because there's a lot of things that are going on in the background that you don't know are there, all right? Today, I want to talk to you about one of the biggest ones that really it's one of multiple that we talk about, but it's, I think, the one that I've seen more often than not that's made the biggest impact to me is this one, all right? And that is this belief that when you're taking more action, you're going to get more results, and you're going to have, as a result, zero time to recover, right? So what happens is when we think that we have to take more action to create more results, we start showing up at 100%. But then we keep taking action, right? Then we start up at 80%. Then we move to 60%. And then we go to 50. And we go so far down that we just feel overwhelmed and we feel burned out. And we're just pulling from those other important areas like our health, our sleep, our family, our mental health, right? And you either do one of two things. Number one is you quit. And you say, you know what, this isn't possible for me. See, I told you this business wouldn't work. See, I told you it wouldn't work to become a sergeant. See, I told you this marriage wouldn't work. So I told you. That's the scapegoat that we use. Or number two, and this one is what I chose, is you continue to push until life comes back and says, no, you ain't pushing anymore. And then you come to this realization. It's I'm not creating the legacy that I truly want to create. And for me personally, what I started to do, of course, outside of surrounding myself with the right people, is learning the value of what I call true coaching. It's asking myself and getting asked powerful questions to help me find answers that are not the same for everybody. Now, here's the thing. If you're a business owner Let me give you an example here, all right? Let's say you have this thing where you're working one-on-one with clients, all right? You're working one-on-one with clients, your business is going really well. You get to the point where working one-on-one, you can't make any more hours up. And so what you do is you start adding more. You start taking away from other areas. You start working on the weekends. And see what happens is you have this thought of like, this is the only way that it has to happen, right? But what if somebody came along and asked you, well, what's a way that you could do this that wouldn't require more of your time, but you would actually be able to make a bigger impact? That's something that happened to me. And it's like, okay, how about if I did a mastermind? What if I just spent 1 hour during the week and I invited all of my clients there and really help them, give them the experience as if it's a one-on-one, but at the same time, only using 1 to 2 hours in that specific moment to be able to help them and to be able to make that impact. And then I just keep adding more because it doesn't take more time, right? It's just we already have that 1 hour that we're using and we just push everybody to that 1 hour. Now, that would have never been possible if I didn't realize that there's a different way, right? If I hadn't surrounded myself with other people who had different ways, right? And coming to realize, like, hey, what was really going on was my brain had tricked me into thinking that this was the only way. Like, if I want to get results, I have to take more action. And in reality, that's not the case at all right? Now, I want to give you one strategy around this that really changed the game for me, because what I just taught you right now is a belief system, because your belief drives behavior. You've heard me say that a million times. I'm sure you've heard Josh say that a million times, but your belief truly drives your behavior. What you believe fundamentally will get you to take action. But once you have that belief, it is great when you can be around other people who have actions that you could take to make yourself successful, right? It's kind of like what I just shared with you, one-on-one versus a mastermind team. Like, you get around people who own businesses, who are coaching, who are making an impact on a high level. You're going to be able to find those answers if you have the right belief system. So realizing what I just told you a couple minutes ago, it's not about outworking the problem. It's about focusing on how might I do both of those and excel with it without pulling from those important areas in my life. And basically what you're saying is, because you're asking yourself that question, is it's possible. It's possible, right? There's other people who out there who are actually making a bigger impact than me, but aren't working every single hour of the day. There's people out there who are doing this coaching business who aren't working 16-hour days. There's people out there who are doing stuff that are like on an entirely different level, and they're not putting in more action, right? So that opens the door to like, this might be possible too, right? But once you do that, you need to make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who have those tactics, all right? And I want to share those tactics with you right now, okay? That is like what I refer to as the 80-20. It's the Pareto principle. This 80-20 rule works for everything, all right? When you start to think about, I've got to do it all, and my brain starts to do that too, by the way, because it's a limiting belief for me. It's like, hey, I'm never enough. I got to keep doing more. I ask myself a question. Is this the 80% or is this the 20%? Here's what I mean, okay? So when it comes to the total results that you get in your life, 80% of the actions you take produce 20% of the results in your life. But there's 20% of the actions that you're taking that are producing 80% of those results. Let me give you a couple examples, all right? Business, all right? If you're in business, there's things that you have to do in a business, right? There's, sending messages, there's creating posts, there's sending emails, there's coming up with a lead magnet, there's working on Facebook ads, there's doing all of these things, right? But if I were to ask you, if you were to examine all of the actions that you or your team are taking in the business, what is the 20% of things that you do that produces 80% of the results? Some people might say one-on-one calls. Some people might say having a really great conversation with somebody. Somebody might say a podcast. Like, everybody's going to be slightly different, but there's something that is producing 80% of the results in your business. Why wouldn't you do more of that and less of the other? The other 80%, and this is kind of like what we get into as business owners, is this thing feels like I have to do it. And that's not true. You might think you have to do it, but you don't. That's just a belief, right? You can either stop doing it, do less of it. You can outsource it, meaning find somebody else. It could be a team. It could be your significant other. It could be your kids. You can literally pay them to do a part of your business so that you don't have to do it anymore. And how much more time and space will that give you to spend in that area that actually makes the impact for you? Giving another example, this one is with kids. I like to use this one a lot because it makes total sense. It's what my brain would typically go to is like, I don't have time to create that kind of connection and legendary connection that I wanted to with my family. But what it was tricking me into thinking is that I had to spend more time doing it, but I don't. It's not about doing more. It's about getting smarter about it. It's about focusing on the things that actually move the needle. So I thought to myself, what are the 20% of actions that I take with my kids that produce 80% of the results? And what's the flip? What are those 80% that I think it's just moving the needle a little bit? This is the reason why, guys. If it moves the needle a little bit, it feels like we're giving something up if we don't do it. False news. Because remember, if you spend more time doing the 20%, you're going to get way time, 4 times as much results. So when your brain goes down that path, go, no. Actually, as a matter of fact, it will create more space and time and energy, and sometimes just time for silence, just time for recovery. So when I come back to that 20%, I'm going to be on fire. Okay, so I got off track. Analogy with kids, all right? So when you think about the time you spend with your kids, it feels like we're a chaperone right now, driving the kids everywhere. We're doing laundry, we're cooking, we're cleaning, we're like, let's say, watching TV together, sleeping, doing whatever. Like, it's important for me to be here physically, right? The kids need to see me around here physically, but it moves the needle a little bit. It doesn't really create amazing connection. Now, for me, the 20% is like when we're disconnected, we're all sitting down and we're playing a board game, we're having a great conversation. It'd be when me and Teresa go out on a walk and I have a list of questions that I'll ask her, and I'll ask her a question that is not just like, how was your day? It's like one of those questions is like, hey, when you feel most supported by me as a husband, what is it I'm saying and what is it I'm doing that makes you feel that way? And it just totally changes like the perspective, but it also changes the conversation. Those are the 20% that produces the 80% of connection with me, with my kids. And that's also the reason why every day we're in the process of doing the 75 hard as a team. Every day our second workout is a walk with either one of my kids or my wife, and we have a schedule. So like on Mondays and Thursdays, it's Andrew. On Tuesdays and Fridays, it's Alyssa. And Wednesdays and Saturdays, something like that, is Teresa. And then Sundays, just a walk by myself, because guess what? I need time to recover, right? But like I come up with questions to really connect with them, because that 45 minutes is game-changing. I mean, going on a walk with my daughter, I don't know, maybe she'll listen to this when she gets older. Going on a walk with my daughter is amazing, but I don't get 2 words in. I just ask a question, and boom, she kind of takes off. And 45 minutes later, we get back home, and she's like, Daddy, that was a really great conversation. And I'm like, well, it really wasn't a conversation because I didn't really say anything, but it's just that connection. When you know what's going on in their life, when you feel connected with them, when they feel like, hey, you know what, I can tell my dad everything. And here's how you know that. You know that because when something goes wrong, they don't say, oh man, my dad can never figure this out. He can never find out about this. Instead, it's like, you know what? This just happened. I need to go tell my dad. That's the connection that I want. I want to create that environment of psychological safety, and it works in the 20%. The 20% is really where we double down. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys here today, because I really feel that that is a very very important topic, all right? The reason why we feel overwhelmed is because and the reason why we're like experiencing exhaustion is because we feel we have to do more. You don't. That is false news, and I want to break that limiting belief down, and I hope I've done that for you today. Instead, ask yourself, what is the 80-20? What are the 20% activities that I can double down on? And go out and get it, all right? All right, guys, I really appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much for making it here to the end of another episode. I know there's hundreds of thousands of other podcasts out there, and you're listening to this one. If you have any questions about anything, please definitely reach out to me. If you want some help around this, mindsetwithmark.com/discovery. We'll get on have a quick conversation via email, see how best I can help you. But like I always say, like you don't get better by consuming, you get better by acting. And I can't wait to hear the action that you take now. All right, you guys have an incredible week, and I'll talk to you next Monday. All right, bye.